had a few ailments and he had advanced in years, but we never thought that he would suddenly go away like this. And these COVID times have really sort of made us so, kept us so far away from each other. But the fact that we should lose him like this was something that I just couldn't come to terms with. Then when Ritish Babu, Mr. Ritish Chakravorty of Srinath Bharati, when he said that we must have a special program on Maharajji because he passed away. So I said that no, let us not call it his passing away. Let us call it the celebration of his life. The fact that we have had the opportunity of coming in close contact with such a great maestro, such a great guru. In fact, I have had more than 40 years of a close relationship with him. And so I told Ritish Babu that 4th February is his birthday. So let us have that day as the day of celebration of the great maestro. Thank you, Ritish Babu, for honoring me and accepting what I had proposed, and thank you for inviting me here. It is really a wonderful feeling that I see artists from all over the globe coming and paying their respect to the great maestro. Yes, he is known as a dancer because he himself called himself a dancer and he belonged to a family of great dancers. The famous Kalka Bindadin Maharaj Gharana, the Kalka Bindadin Gharana. And even earlier, if you go back 7 generations, Ishwari Prasad Ji, who was the founder of this Gharana. So from there, or from that time onwards, this was known as the family of great dance gurus. When Ishwari Prasad Ji's grandson Prakash Ji came to Lucknow to the court of Asaf-ud-Daula, Prakash Ji was honored by being called and by being given the position of Raj Nartak of Lucknow. Since then, this family had been very close to the Lucknow court. And it was only when the last Nawab, Wajid Ali Shah, was deposed that the royal family of Awadh was not connected with this great family of Kalka Bindadin. But even then, Wajid Ali Shah had given a beautiful mansion. It is still there. It is now made into a museum in Lucknow, which is called the Kalka Bindadin Dairy. And at that time, this family decided not to follow Wajid Ali Shah to Kolkata, but to stay on in Lucknow. And this family has been known as the Lucknow Gharana. Although maybe many of the great stalwarts have traveled to other places, Maharajji himself spent the greater part of his life in Delhi, although he traveled all over the world. And then, of course, his uncle Lachu Maharajji was in Bombay for quite a long time. Everyone has been saying so many things about Maharajji, but let me share some very personal anecdotes about him, which I don't know all of you maybe perhaps do not know about. Actually, he was born after 3 sisters, and he was the only son of his parents. And he told me that when he was born in the Lucknow hospital at that time, all the other infants that were born were all girls, and he was the only boy. And when his family members came, they said that why? Here is Krishna who has come with all the gopis around him. So he was called Brij Mohan. The first few years of his life were very happy. He had his father to look after him. And in fact, no one knew that his father would pass away so quickly. At that time, after the patronage of the Lucknow court was not there because the Nawab was brought to Kolkata as a prisoner, at that time this family went to Rampur, and Nawab Hamid Ali of Rampur was a very great patron of the arts, and Achan Maharajji's father and uncles all went on staying in Rampur. Now let let me tell you that at that time, the artists, although they were appreciated for their art, were not given that much of respect all the time. Often the Nawab would say, let us have a performance. And, suddenly in the middle of the night, a performance would be arranged. Now, at that time, Pandit Birju Maharaj was very young. But once or twice, his father had brought him to the court and had made him dance. And the Nawab was so fascinated by this little child that often in the middle of the night, he would say, oh, bacha ko bulao. Now, Maharajji's mother was very worried because for a little child, you have to sleep at night. I mean, you can't go on performing in the middle of the night in the court. And so when the mother, at that time, his mother couldn't talk. They were afraid to speak to the Nawab, but they spoke to the person who was in charge of looking after the artists. And when the Nawab heard of this, he was furious. He said that he won't dance when I call him, then let this family not be a part of my court. So at that time, Lachu Maharajji was very insulted. He said, I won't be attached to a court, I'll go to Bombay. At that time, the Indian cinema was coming up. Then the rest of the family came back to Lucknow. And Maharajji said that his father often taught film artists and other great well-known artists. And he said that Maharajji was Birju Maharajji was so young at that time. He said that my father didn't pay much attention to training me because he thought that would be done later. He said that from the time I was very young, I used to watch my father teach great dancers and great film artists. For instance, like Leela Desai and others who were taught by Achan Maharajji. And he said that from that time, I had trained my eyes to follow what a good dancer should do. And I followed every step that my father took and every movement that he taught. Then at one time, when Maharajji was still very young, just about reached his teens, his father, the whole family went for a marriage ceremony where they had danced. And while coming back, his father was suddenly taken ill. In fact, nowadays we think it was probably cholera, but at that time, the medical system was not that very sophisticated. But his father suddenly died. And so Maharajji had not actually got proper training from his father because he was so young at that time when his father passed away. So what to do? His second uncle, Lachu Maharajji, was in Bombay and Shambhu Maharajji was in Lucknow. So he started training under Shambhu Maharajji. Now, Shambhu Maharajji was very short-tempered. And Maharajji said that I didn't like him in many ways because he used to say bad things to my mother. Like in those days, if you lose your husband at a young age, then, people say bad things about you. Many things happen, but even then he had no choice. So he was learning under Shambhu Maharajji. Now, Shambhu Maharajji danced in the Tandava style, where like tha, ta, ka, thong, ga. Every movement was very clear, very precise, and very powerful. And he started learning in that Tandava style. Then after some time, Lachu Maharajji came to Lucknow on a holiday and he said, let me see you dance. Then he told Maharajji's mother that is he becoming a dancer or is he becoming a warrior or a soldier? I will take him with me to Bombay. And so he went to Bombay and the same bol, tha, ta, ka, thonga was that tha, ta, ka, thonga with a lilting movement and the lasya style. And so for a few years, he performed in this lasya style. Then when he came back to Lucknow on a holiday, again Shambhu Maharajji said, that has your uncle made you into a girl? Are you going to perform like a Baiji or are you going to be a proper masculine dancer? So Maharaji at that time, he said that I was so confused. Here I have lost my father. Then both the uncles dance in two different styles. So he told his mother, what should I do? So his father said, you meditate on whatever you have seen of your father. You meditate on him. And I have also seen his dance. I have seen him perform thumris and teach thumris. I can help you with that. And you try to incorporate what you have learned from your two great uncles, because they are two great dancers themselves. So Maharaji said that, I thought that I would blend the styles of both these great gurus. So whenever there was a powerful rhythmic component, he would use Shambhu Maharaji's style. And whenever there was a softness in the rhythm, he would use Lachu Maharaji's style. So like tha, ta, ka, thong, ga, tha, ge, di, ge, ta. So in that way, both these styles were combined and he created his own style. Then let me tell you that when he was young, life was not very easy for him, because at that time he was young. Everybody knew that he had lost his father and had not received that much of training from his father. So nobody took him that seriously. Then from there, when he went to Delhi, I have heard from him that he had no place to practice. Like you need a substantial amount of space to practice, a big floor. And so he actually got to know a person who had a factory. And the basement of the factory, there was a lot of space. And when he spoke to the owner, the owner said that, okay, you can use my basement, but not during the day time, because people will be working there. So every night he used to go there and practice in the basement. And he says that when I completed my practice and when I used to come out, I used to have coffee at a little joint. And he said that there, other people had also completed their night's work and come. And I really believe that probably they were robbers and thieves. And because who else would do work in the night? And here was I practicing throughout the night. And he had, like we always say that we need a lighted up room and mirrors and this, but here he was practicing in the basement in the night. And he said that because of that, I could feel my movements. I could concentrate on what I was doing. So those were difficult times. Then gradually he joined Sangeet Bharati. There he's got a substantial amount of remuneration. Then he got as his colleagues great gurus like Hafiz Ali Khan, the Dagar brothers, from whom he learned instrumental music, then singing. Then he learned, from his colleagues, he learned the tabla, the bakhawaj. And of course, he had dance within him. Then when I don't know whether I'm overstepping my time. Please tell me whether I'm talking too much. Is it okay? Can I continue for a little while more?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Then when he went to Kathak Kendra, when it was formed in 1964, at that time he was an established dancer, a guru who had trained quite a few students. And at the Kathak Kendra, he really blossomed. He blossomed because there were so many opportunities. In Kathak Kendra, every year a new production had to be staged. And so he created so many productions, some on mythological themes, some on historical themes, some on symbolic themes, and then some on very funny themes. And let me just tell you that, for instance, there is one called File Katha. File Katha is about a file which goes to a government office. And then the fate of that file, the person who has given the file wants it back and that can't be found and so on and so forth. And so it's a very funny thing and everything is done through dance. Then there's also another one I would like to talk about, which is called Anamya. Anamya is about a piece of iron. And like there was a solid piece of iron, then it was somehow broken, and one part was made into a sword, and the other part was combined with other metals and made into a temple bell. And there, through dance, he depicted how the same piece of iron divided could be used for different purposes, and that he did through dance. And there was he created so many beautiful dance performances. And let me tell you that when he was creating dance performances, he not only created the dance and the choreography, but he created the music, he created the sets. And even I've seen that in some of when he was staging some of the dance dramas, he would also do the light designing. In fact, every part, starting from the costumes, the lights, the movements, the use of stage space, everything he would do because he was so engrossed in what he was doing. And like when there were songs that couldn't be found, he even wrote those songs. So in that way, I mean, he was a complete artist, one who could sing, play musical instruments. He was a wonderful percussionist, and of course, he was a dancer par excellence. Before ending, I would just like to say one thing, is that he honored all artists and all forms of dance. Often you find that people are trying to pull other people down, and classical artists saying that folk is no good and this is not, but he honored every form of dance. He respected every form of music, and he used to play the nal, which is looked on as a folk instrument. He was a wonderful pakhawaj player. Then tabla, I mean, you just can't, if he only played the tabla, he would be a master tabla player. And so he combined, and then on top of that, he was a wonderful painter. And so he was a complete artist in every single way. And I'm really so fortunate that I've had such a long relationship with him for so many years. 40 years is not something that you can take lightly. And I have learned so much from him. Then another thing which I would like to speak about, I'm sure all of you have noticed, but I don't know whether it's being spoken about, is that how to present performances on the stage, how to win over the audience. Because everywhere you do not have the same type of people, like what is called samajdar, or people who understand. But he would always try to reach out to people. And he did it in so many different ways. Sometimes by bringing in little anecdotes, sometimes by relating to the history of that place. And then again, when teaching children, he would compose little rhymes for them, little bowls. And if you translated that bowl into the rhythmic part, it would become beautiful. A little while ago, Priti was speaking about that kachori thing. I would just like to say, this is one that he made for little children. धनिया मिर्ची और टमाटर की चटनी 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 ला दे चटनी 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 ला दे चटनी 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 ला दे. Also sometimes for lade you could also use khali. So it's like dhaniya mirchi tatathe tatathe the tathe tathe tatathe 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 tathe tatathe 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 tathe tatathe 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 tathe. Now if you teach a child with the tatathe, the child will get confused. But dhaniya mirchi or tomato ki, that's something a little child enjoys. So immediately they will learn it, and somehow this very difficult rhythm they can perform with their feet. So from little children to old people, from Indians to people from all over the world, he could reach out to people, he could make people love him, And the way he spoke, the way he presented everything, that is something that we can never say enough about. My pranam to Maharajji. I'm so fortunate in having you in my life. Although I cried on 17th January, and I still feel so bad for having lost you. But again, I must say that instead of feeling sad, I must feel fortunate that I have had such a long association with you, and that I have had you as a part of my dance career, my dance training process, and you have been a part of so many of us from all over the world. Thank you, Maharajji, for being one of us, and you will always stay in our hearts as one of us. Pranam.
I can't say, I don't have any words to say or to express anything. After whatever has been delivered now, as if I was seeing him in front of my eyes, and really,
when the Asiad was being held in, so he was asked to create the opening dance item, and he did it on covered day. You would have just suddenly remembered this.
It's okay. We have been enlightened by you, and really, he is there. Like in your words, he was there. In whatever expression right now you perform, he was there. So he's always there within us, in us, and for us. He will never go. And really, let him never go. And we are very much fortunate to get you with us, and you being one of our patrons of Surnandan family and always guiding us in every sphere of our life. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Surnandan Bharati. Thank you, Ritish Babu. And thank you each and every member of Surnandan Bharati. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
I just want to say one thing, Shudiptadi and ma'am, that Panditji is everywhere, and we are also lucky that we are having you. You are also a reflection of him, and we are learning from you. That's a big boon from all of us. So, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Really. Means after whatever Amita ma'am has said right now, there should be no word to express whatever she has said, and each and every word was, means I was feeling as if whatever she was saying I could see in front of my eyes, as if he is there, he is still performing in front of my eyes. So it was really awesome. It was really splendid, and हम समृद्ध हुए. सच में आपने जो कुछ भी शेयर किया उससे हम ही सब समृद्ध हुए हैं. And for that, thank you. धन्यवाद.
Thank you.
अभी हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Moving forward, we have with us elocutionist Devanjan Mukherjee. Sir, are you there? I can't see him. Okay, we will move forward then. We have with us Tabla Maestro, Professor Badhan Chakraborty from Agartala, Tripura. Sir, please share.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
আমি বাঁধন চক্রবর্তী, ত্রিপুরা, আগরতলা। আমার ইনস্টিটিউশনের নাম হচ্ছে তপ ভি বোলা। এবছর আমার 33 বছর পূর্ণ হচ্ছে এই সংস্থাটি। আমি সুরনন্দন ভারতীর সঙ্গে আজকে প্রায় অনেক বছর, 94 সাল থেকে আমি সুরনন্দন ভারতীর সঙ্গে আছি। সরি, আমার এখানে কারেন্ট চলে গেছে। আমি বলছি অ্যাকচুয়ালি আগামীকাল শ্রী পঞ্চমী, সরস্বতী পূজা। আমরা সবাই বাগদেবীর আরাধনায় ব্যস্ত থাকবো। তার জন্য আগাম শুভেচ্ছা আমি সবাইকে জানাতে চাই। এবং আজকে প্রবাদ প্রতিম শিল্পী পণ্ডিত বিরজু মহারাজের শুভ জন্মদিন, সেই দিনটিকে স্মরণ করে আমরা অতি সম্প্রতি তাকে হারিয়েছি জাগতিক জীবন থেকে, কিন্তু তিনি কিন্তু আছেন। আমি তন্ময় হয়ে শুনছিলাম আমাদের সুনন্দন ভারতীর প্যাট্রন ম্যাডাম প্রফেসর অমিতা দত্ত ম্যাডামের কথা। আমার মনে হচ্ছিল যেন আজকে সারা রাত যদি আমি ওনার কথা শুনতে পেতাম, সেটা যেন আমার কাছে খুবই আনন্দদায়ক হতো। কিন্তু সময় তো সবার জন্যই কম। বিরজু মহারাজ সম্পর্কে যত বেশি শোনা যায় ততই ভালো লাগবে। আমার সৌভাগ্য হয়েছিল পণ্ডিত বিরজু মহারাজের অনুষ্ঠান দেখার, শাশ্বতী সেন সঙ্গে, ওনার প্রিয় শিষ্যা। সে অনেক বছর আগে, আমি যখন কলকাতায় থাকতাম শিক্ষার প্রয়োজনে, আমার গুরুজি প্রফেসর বিমল কুমার রায়, তো দেখার সুযোগ হয়ে